There we go. We should be live now.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
We'll just wait. Oh, if anyone is online, I'll just check actually. Here we go. Yeah. All right. Oh, yeah. There's already heaps of people.
Cool.
Yeah. So we'll just wait till 1 o'clock, and then we'll start chatting. And there's quite a few people on. Oh, okay, great. Cool. All right. It's kind of funny because we've moved our we've gone back in time.
Yes, daylight savings. We did.
So now Perth people can get on an hour earlier. So I think we won't have as many people as we normally do, but that's fine. It's just how it is. I reckon let's just start. Doesn't look like there's too many more people joining. Okay, cool. I think so. Everyone, this is Jules. He's our marketing and growth manager. He works very much behind the scenes. So it's the first time on the webinar introducing everyone nationally, but he's been at all our sort of Melbourne events and said hello to people there. But I'm going to let Jules take over and tell you a little bit about what he does, and then we'll get into the webinar for today.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here today. I'm filling in for Shiraz. As Sarah said, I'm the marketing manager at Bluethumb, and I may have spoken to a few of you along the way, but I'm mostly behind the scenes, and it's more Shiraz and Sarah who are on the front line with you guys day in and day out. But as you may know, we have quite a large amount of staff who do kind of sit behind the scenes in Bluethumb, but are working very hard to make sure everything runs smoothly. And I guess my role as marketing manager is to, raise the awareness of Bluethumb and, inform and get people interested and excited about what we do and what you guys do. So I'm kind of making a special guest appearance just for this week to run through a bit of an overview about licensing your artworks and some of the projects we've done regarding artwork licensing. So yeah, that's me. Good to be here.
I think it's going to be a relatively short webinar today. Jules is going to touch on some of the licensing opportunities we have and what exactly licensing means for artists. And then I'm going to touch a little bit on copyright and your ownership of copyright as well. So it should be quite quick. We'll leave questions to the end, but you're welcome to ask them along the way and I'll save them like we normally do. Just with questions today, Shiraz isn't here and he's the guru with all Bluethumb knowledge. So if you've got any specific questions for Julian or myself, the hard ones might have to wait till next fortnight when Shiraz is back.
Please.
Yeah, please, for our sake. So yeah, I think you just take it away.
Cool. So as I mentioned just before, I wanted to talk a little bit about licensing your artwork and really divide the talk up into 3 main sections. One is a bit of an overview about what artwork licensing is. Part 2 is a little bit about a licensing agreement, what that is and what that means. And then part 3 is really some tips to help us help you and vice versa. So when we talk about licensing artworks, it's usually around commercial projects, and our commercial projects differ from trade projects, and we've had a webinar with Alex before, is more about us working with our interior designers. Commercial projects and licensing are more ad hoc projects where people want to use an artwork for a special usage. So some of the examples we've done to date are packaging. We've done things like artworks. Some of our artworks have appeared on places like wine bottles, candle packaging. We did a great one with a premium tea company. So getting artwork onto kind of commercial packaging projects. Others we've got at the moment are some limited edition prints that are getting gifted to an international conference. We're working with a hotel at the moment to do, again, some limited edition prints. So the projects kind of vary, but in a nutshell, our commercial projects are when someone wants your artwork to use for a commercial opportunity. And as I said, they are pretty ad hoc. They kind of come out of the blue, but they're really fun to work on because it's usually something quite different. And it's kind of cool. And there's usually an interesting story that spins out of it. And you may have seen a couple of the blogs that we've done in the past with some previous licensing projects. So it's really great to be able to tell that story. And it's great for the artist because it gets their work out in kind of a different way. And it's great for the client as well because instead of getting a piece of art or a piece of design that's kind of off the shelf, they're getting a unique piece. And they can kind of, help support an Australian artist as well at the same time. So, yeah, as I said, they are a bit ad hoc, but the general process when they do come up is someone will get in touch with us, a commercial buyer, I guess, with a specific artwork in mind or a brief. It might be a budget and they're looking for X number of works, or they might, hone in on one individual artwork and really want to use that one. But usually it starts with an inquiry that comes to us. We'll then chat to that potential client to extract a bit more information about the project and how it's going to be used. Some of the people we deal with are very experienced and give us a lot of the information we need up front. Other times they're a bit new to it, which is fine because we can kind of guide them through what we need to know. And then once we've got that information, we can put that to you, the artist. And there's usually a bit of going back and forth to iron out the fine details. But once we've got a kind of a verbal agreement, we draft up a licensing agreement, which is a written document. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And that's signed by both you, the artist, and the client. So you've got a copy for future record keeping. And then in addition to usually the artwork purchase price, there'll be a license fee, which again is negotiated by us in consultation with the artist. And that's in addition to the purchase price. So it's kind of a win-win for you, the artist, because often your artwork is purchased and then you'll receive an additional fee for the artwork to be used for the commercial purpose. So that's kind of it, really, in a nutshell, a very simplified version of the process. I guess the second part I was keen to cover off is the licensing agreement itself. Now that's a document that, we've got a template document, I guess, for an agreement that we had drawn up by our arts law partner. And most of the time it acts as a pretty decent template for us to be able to dive in, update the info without too many major changes. And really it's a kind of a document to protect both parties. So the agreement outlines kind of...
Not sure that we're live. Someone said... Just...
Hang on. I'm going to pause.
Oh, that would be funny. Oh, okay, it's
good.
fine.
We're on. Excellent. Okay. Everyone is just enthralled with my description of a licensing agreement. So where was I? Yeah, so the agreement itself, it's a document to protect you, to outline what's agreed, and ensure that you're fairly rewarded. And we're quite strict on having that agreement because what we don't want to happen is someone to kind of, take your artwork and you see it appearing in all sorts of spots where you haven't agreed to it being used. So this document gives you kind of a degree of kind of safety and protection. If there is a more complex project and it's only come up a couple of times, we can tap into extra external advice. But most of the time, the template we've got is pretty robust, and we can just update the individual details. you know, we're not lawyers, so we can't kind of comment on every little in and out if there's some confusion, but we can certainly seek advice when we need to. And as I said, that's signed by the artist and the client. It's a document you guys can keep, you can refer to, you know, keep it in a safe place, and it will outline exactly what you've agreed to, so that you're protected if you see your artwork kind of flying around the place in ways that you didn't agree to. So that document itself, I'm including a link to an article I drafted up just with some of the key terms, but it can get a bit jargony. There's a lot of sort of legal terms that get peppered into the mix, but I've included in the article a bit of a glossary around some of the main terms. So, you know, have a bit of a read just to familiarize yourself with what are some of the key terms. And as always, you can reach out to us and we can clarify and talk you through it as well. So that's the agreement. And then the third part is really, you know, what are the tips that for you guys to help us help you? You know, with licensing projects and commercial projects, they are, as I said, ad hoc, but certainly ensuring that your artwork listings are all up to date is a real key one. And we've covered a few webinars about the tips and tricks and best practice that we recommend for ensuring that all of your artwork listings are up to date and easy to find, so that if someone does come with a commercial project in mind and they're punching in some search terms into Bluethumb, they can find relevant artworks quickly and easily. So that's a really important one just for general maintenance anyway. The second one is get in touch with us, involve us. If someone reaches out to you with a proposal for a commercial project and you're really a bit unsure, well, I definitely recommend, if you are unsure, to get in touch with us, because we've dealt with quite a few of them. And as I said, we've got the agreement that we can help. We will draft up, and we can certainly help with the negotiation. So if you're not confident with someone, you know, dealing with someone directly and negotiating someone directly, you might find yourself in a bit of a sticky situation where you agree to something that you weren't 100% sure of. So I would recommend, to be on the safe side with the commercial project, to reach out to us if someone's come to you direct, and get the help from us where you can. Also, and we'll kind of guide you through this if a project does come up, be pretty clear upfront about where your kind of boundaries lie, where you're willing to be flexible or not flexible with how your artwork is going to be used, because the more we can clarify that up front, the easier it makes the negotiations, and the faster it makes everything. You know, what we don't want is to get right down to the end point and, you know, hit a snag. So it's good to know if there's some certain things that you're not comfortable with up front, and likewise, you know, where you have some flexibility, so we can help negotiate within that. So yeah, that's kind of a very quick snapshot of licensing, all about licensing. As I said, there's an article in the link below, so check that out, which just has, you know, goes over a bit of the detail I talked about. But yeah, that's in a nutshell. You know, we love it when they come up. They're great fun. And, you know, maybe once a month we'll get an inquiry, or it really depends, and not all of them convert, so that sometimes, you know, we start the negotiations and it may not eventuate, but you know, it's cool when they do. It's fun, it's different, and it's great. They're really good.
So we had sort of a question from Lisa. She said, I know market rates for licensing I know market rates for licensing are from experience. We'll be interested in what is via Bluethumb. So this could be the fee, like a fee that we charge, or what would you say to that?
Yeah. So the license fee will vary depending on the usage, and the usage covers all the details of the project. So it might be where it's going to be used. Is it in Australia only, or is it for, you know, digital usage, or is it a global usage exclusivity. If they're the only person who can use it for commercial usage, or and the duration might be another one that comes into it. If it's only for a month, or it might be a year, or it might be 5 years. So that's why we try and eke out all of that info from the client at the start, because depending on what the overall picture of the project will look like, that will influence what that license fee is. So it's very hard to give a kind of hard and fast rule, because it is quite project dependent on the usage, but that's the kind of information that we help clarify up front.
Yeah. Would it be good to give just an example? So maybe from one of our past projects, the fee, because it might be good to mention we don't charge a fee to the artist to do this. So with negotiations, we do take our normal commission, which is 30% plus GST.
I guess some of the more simpler ones that we've done that are quite straightforward is the artwork purchase price plus 100% as the license fee. That seems to be, if it's a simple project, a pretty good sort of middle ground for the client to make it kind of clear and easy for them and for the artists. So they're getting essentially, the price of their artwork plus another on top of 100%. So that's kind of our I guess our basic model that we've worked with a few times, and that's worked quite well.
So I think that covers licensing. If anyone has any questions, just quickly chuck them down, and we'll either go through them now or at the end, depending on how many questions there are. And then I'll get into copyright, which I'll turn that off, sorry. Which is going to be a little bit flaky, for lack of a better word. No, not flaky, no. Cool. I don't think anyone's got any pressing questions, but yep, just chuck them down and we'll go through them at the end while Jules is here. So first of all, copyright. Oh, wait. Yeah, that's not right. Okay, copyright. So first thing I want to say before we start discussing this is that I am not a lawyer. I am not a lawyer, and I've put together a little something for you to understand ownership of your work and copyright of your work, but by no means take these as fact. They're very loosely based off the information I've read in the past week or so. And if I've included some links as well in the comments, like the comments, not the comment section, but the Bluethumb section, which are two really great websites to look at, which is Arts Law and copyright.org.au. So they go into more about sort of your rights, artist rights, blah, 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 blah. So if you get time, definitely look through those and just take what I'm saying now very lightly. Copyright. So, copyright. Okay. So at this time, there is no copyright registration system. However, your creative work is automatically covered under the Copyright Act. So this is when you've expressed your work in a material form and you have like a physical painting, drawing, digital artwork, but we don't do digital artwork, but that sort of thing, that once it's come into form, it is then your ownership, as long as it's 100% your own and original. So when copyright arises when an idea, concept, or the information is written down, expressed visually, artists, filmed, recorded, or stored on a hard drive, for example, computer, USB stick, or Bluethumb. You can classify Bluethumb as a digital copy. This is inclusive of any sort of in the physical world and the digital world. So if you post your painting online, you're automatically covered by copyright, and that could be your own website. That's not necessarily Bluethumb. It can be Instagram. It can be Facebook as well. So there's a couple things here with moral rights and copyright. So the moral right is your personal rights the moral right sorry, the moral right is the personal right that connects you, the creator, to your work. So as a visual artist, you have to protect the integrity of your work and the ownership of your work. So one way, so moral right, this is a little bit different, and I know I'm not explaining it well already. You have that responsibility that you should make people know that you're the creator of your work whenever it is shown in public. One way of that is signing artwork, etc., but I'll get into that a bit further down. No one else should be named the creator of your work, so that's a moral right. And your work cannot be treated in a way that hurts your reputation. So you have that moral right to your work. You should have an opinion onto how your work is shown and how your name appears within your work or with your work. So this is all comes under moral right, not copyright. If you're giving your work to someone, like a gallery, for example, you have a say in how they present your work, and if you don't feel like it's being done properly, you're well within your right to sort of pursue that. Okay, cool.
Very clear.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, cool. So one way you should really think about how your work is presented, and this could be publicly in galleries, or it can be in catalogs or essays or whatever. You should always have your name, the title of the work, the materials used in the artwork, the year it was made, and no one should use a work without written permission or a license. Whenever you put your work into an exhibition, like an art prize or a competition, make sure that you sign a contract with the organizers and everything is in writing. So for most art prizes, or the really good ones, they'll make you fill a disclaimer before, and that will give them rights to kind of use that image promotionally as well, potentially. Okay, so how can you protect your work? Signing and dating the artwork is very, very important, and I know not a lot of people do it. And this is on the actual canvas or on the back of the paper, on the front of the canvas. Make sure you're signing and dating your artwork. Providing certificates of authenticity when selling the work. So this gives your buyer or collector sort of that official document that this is your work. And hopefully they keep it with that, which most of them do. And they even sometimes frame your certificate in there as well. To protect your work, a good idea is to upload it to Bluethumb. Bluethumb essentially could be a digital record of your artwork. And once it's been published, then, your copyright for your work is protected. Posting the artwork to social media and websites. These also create a time receipt as well, which is really important if you have to prove ownership or authenticity later down the track. And I know not a lot of people do this again, but make sure you keep your own records of everything, including timestamps. So say everyone should have an Excel sheet with a picture of the artwork, title, year, date, mediums, every sort of little detail. Keep your own records. Don't rely on say for us, don't rely on us to keep that information for you. You should always have a backup. What I would also say is whenever you upload a piece to Bluethumb, you automatically send an email. Try and keep those emails in a separate folder. That's another good way of sort of keeping that information and timestamps and everything else like that. So how do we prevent copyright? Okay, so before you make an account with Bluethumb, you must read and agree and accept all of our terms and conditions and Bluethumb policies. And we have written clearly about copyright, and we do not condone it at all. So users posting content on the Bluethumb site must not infringe on copyright and or intellectual property rights of any person, entity, organization, trademark, or other. So that's our actual little spill on copyright in our terms and conditions, available to everyone who uses the site. We also have a disclaimer that whenever an artwork is uploaded to the site, the artist using it has to agree to this disclaimer. So it's that little tick box at the very, very top before you fill out any information about your artwork. Unless this disclaimer is ticked, the artwork cannot be uploaded to Bluethumb. So they have to prove that they are not. But it's a disclaimer for us, but it also says that artist is basically taking responsibility if they do breach copyright. Okay. We take these very seriously. We have to. I hope, it's sad that it does happen, but when we don't condone it, we act on it quite quickly. We don't want anything bad to go wrong. I do want to mention that we do allow for watermarks on the image. We do allow for watermarks. It can only be the copyright symbol and your first and last name. It has to be in the bottom left or right corner. We have had examples in the past that the copyright actually can decrease. It can make your work less likely to sell. So we do prefer it without. But by all means, if you feel like that's protecting your work, go ahead and do it. What I was going to say to that, though, is because you've created that, you're legally covered anyway. So you don't actually need to provide a watermark because your intellectual property is already covered. So basically, when we've been told or we find out that an artist has breached copyright, we follow a very simple process and try to remain as neutral as possible. It's very direct, in other words, but basically a complaint is made. We ask the person who made the complaint to provide us with a list of artworks they think could be in breach. And we may also ask for photo evidence as well. Once we have that list, we give it to the artist that has been made a complaint against, and we give them time to sort of rebut that and give us, just time to comment and to take the next step. And then with their response, we take the appropriate action. So it is very case by case basis. Most cases are actually sorted out privately between artist and artist. It's very few times that we've actually had to act. It's normally been dealt with without us involved at all. But yeah, that's our process. So you're more than welcome to use that as well. I just wanted to note a few things about breaches of copyright. And this is just hypothetical. This hasn't happened to anyone, but I know it's quite common. So yeah. So reproduction of your work, unless they have a licensing agreement,
important.
Yep, very important. They cannot. No one can reproduce your work. So, say someone has purchased your artwork off Bluethumb, and then all of a sudden they've decided to make prints for their family. Not allowed. Not allowed without your permission. So, if that does happen, you need to act on it straight away. Crediting a creator or another artist is a legal requirement. So regardless if you have their permission or not, you have to credit them, and that is a legality. The only time would be if it's not reasonable to, but that go to the website and they will tell you the unreasonable times. If you credit an artist, for example, you're a painter and you've used one of their reference photos and they're a photographer, you are still in breach of copyright. You are not allowed to do that. That is their intellectual property. And even if you credit them, it's still a breach. You need to get it in writing, get their permission in writing to be able to do that. And that is the only time you're allowed to do that. Okay, I'm nearly there. A big point I want to just smash into your brains politely. Smash it in. If you ever borrow something, use something, reference something from another artist, make sure you get everything in writing. So even if they are a friend or a family member or boyfriend, whatever, get it in writing. I can, even if it's, very friendly, oh yeah, sure, just use whatever you want, get it in writing, because it can cause so much more drama later down the track. And even though you might have a verbal agreement, nothing, it's so much harder to prove. So just get it in writing. Even if it's just a quick scribble, put it away in a folder, just do it. If you notice a breach of copyright, what we would recommend is get in touch with the person and ask them to stop immediately. What I have seen from my experience, is it's best to catch it early. If you put a stop to it straight away, it's very less likely that they'll take advantage more and more and more down the track. So that's my personal opinion. Get in there, get it done. And then if this happens to you, and I know it's quite disheartening and it can really affect how you feel about your work, and it can be a downward spiral if this does happen to you, and it is really upsetting. And I know people that work really hard to create their own thing, and then to just have someone come along and copy it is not fun. But my best advice would be to keep creating, keep evolving your style, keep going. People value authenticity, and if you're an authentic person, you'll be fine. And karma is a beautiful thing too. But so that was all my points on copyright, and I think I sped through that.
Many excellent points there. Thank you.
Thank you. Not a lawyer. Okay. So I'm just going to go back and see if anyone has had any questions. I know that was a lot to take in. If you need time to think about it, just send me an email. Okay, so I'm going to go through it. Lisa said, all my certs of authenticity contain a copyright clause. Great. Love your stuff. Question, dating. I used to date and sign my work. Now I just sign and title on the back of the work. Some people said it's not good to date on work, as if it sits unsold for a while, it can be harder to sell. Look, I think with this, you really need a date of creation. And with dating, like, artists don't put, the 5th of May, 2018. It's normally just a year. The only way, like, if you decide to touch up something, then by all means change the date, because you've re-altered it. If you decide to paint over something and create something completely different, that's a new creation date, a new year. I think it's a good thing to sign your works and to date it, because it shows progression as well. I would suggest doing it. I think, it's a lot harder, especially with copyright issues. If someone's accusing you of copywriting their work and you don't have a date of when you actually created, it can confuse things. So I'm all for dating, but then again, personal choice.
And it can be on the back or the side of the canvas
as
well, can't it?
It doesn't have to be on the canvas. You can do it on the frame, or on the frame, or on the canvas on the back. So, and if you change it, just change your date. Yeah, okay. So Lisa, if your digital images are 72 dpi, it can't be used for much of anything. Yeah, this is another thing I think would be good to touch on. A lot of people, because you have the rights to your work, if anyone copies it, you can take legal action if you want to. And the digital, like, I know it's quite scary putting stuff online, but everything's online. And I just think if you're going to get a bit, if you're going to get into, image sizes and watermarks and everything, it can affect you in the long run. And I think you really need to put the best photos online if you're trying to sell your work. Look, if people do copy stuff, and if the image quality is less, they're still going to copy it. Like, it doesn't really matter if it's 200 megapixels or 300 megapixels, they'll do it anyway. But you've got that protection. So I don't think, like, that's personal opinion as well. But what would you say about that?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I think conversely, if the file size or the watermark is there and someone does want to use it legitimately, we can help get it scanned in a resolution that it needs to be. So, yeah, I mean, it's up to you, really. It's hard to give a hard and fast rule.
Yeah, that's true. It's all personal opinion in the end. There are plenty of online sites offering reference photos for artists to use, free copyright, and even for commercial use. Do you want to touch on
that? There are, but the Bluethumb, Bluethumb does not fall within that same agreement. So, there's certain sites where you can go and grab an image and use it royalty free, and that's fine if what you're looking for or the client is looking for. but often they'll come to us specifically because they want something unique, either created as a commission or something that's, from one of our great Australian artists that they can't get anywhere else.
Yeah, cool. I think some people are leaving good notes there about what they do and how they beat copyright or, do that thing that I'm not explaining very well. But yeah, if anyone has any more questions, just chuck them down. It looks like it's slowed down quite a lot, probably because I've been ranting so much. But again, I think we will, if there's no more questions, we'll probably finish up in the next few minutes. Is there anything else you wanted to add today?
No, I think just have a look through the links that we've posted, the article that I posted and the links that Sarah posted if you're keen to learn a bit more. It can be quite a complex topic, so we've tried to keep it relatively simple so that you can get some relevant, clear information. But if you do want to dive deeper, there are a lot of great online resources or, check out some of the links that we've posted for sure.
Yeah, cool. I just wanted to quickly mention that the exhibition that we had was great. Bridget and Kim, the works looked awesome on the wall, and it was so great to see so many artists come along as well, especially the next day. Also, for anyone in Western Australia, Freddie and I are making a flight over on Thursday for Revealed, which is at Fremantle Art Centre. It's an Indigenous art market. So we'll be there all day on Saturday running our own stall. If anyone's in Perth, feel free to come along and say hello. Would love to see you all. Great. So Monica just said where are the links posted. If you go below the video, it's in there and it's at the very top. Great. Cool. I think that's it. I think that's quite good. I think that's good.
Yeah.
Great webinar without Shiraz.
That's good. Thanks for the questions. And good to be online and in front of you guys.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Great. I'll just do